Today we have Danny from Playlister Club, and we're going over all things playlists. Hey, Danny.
Hey Corey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, doing well, doing well. Excited to be here.
Yeah. This is always a favorite topic amongst our users, so it's gonna be a good one. I think the best place to start with is sort of giving folks, I guess, a breakdown of Playlister Club. What is it? I guess there's like two types of users, right? There's like playlist people that want to have their music put into playlists for like music discovery, and then there's people that are curators, right?
Exactly, yeah. So we are a music discovery platform that is home to, first of all, the largest community of independent playlisters on Spotify. So these are user-generated playlists on the Spotify platform. When we launched in August of 2019, we were essentially a music toolset, curation toolset for these playlisters. So we offered them really awesome tools like, and we still do, like a song scheduler, a trading marketplace, a song chat, all these things that they were kind of doing on Facebook and subreddits. We basically offered them a place and a home to kind of do them in completely for free. And we still do offer all those awesome benefits for playlisters, and we are working on a ton of great features based off of user feedback. So we've been growing that community since we launched 2 years ago. Today, we are home to over 3,000 independent playlisters with around 60,000 playlists among them. And the breakdown of that is around 65 million combined followers among those playlists. And they span, all types of genres, all types of regions as well. I know we get asked about that a lot. So these are really a global audience of playlisters that come to us to manage their playlists and get better music recommendations for their playlists. On the flip side, the other side of the platform is what I'm sure a lot of the attendees are most interested in here is how to kind of get in front of these playlisters. So around 6 months when we launched, after we launched, we opened it up to artists first, independent artists being our focus. So we opened up what we call artist accounts. And with the artist account on Playlister Club, you get a few really cool things. First of all, you're going to be getting exposure to this community of playlisters. And we did it in a really interesting way because we didn't want to create a submission platform where you can directly talk to playlisters. We wanted, music curation and organic music discovery to be at the center of whatever we created. So we took what we call the Netflix style approach with our playlisters in the sense that we actually read everything that they're adding to their playlist, everything that they're listening to on our platform and even beyond, like even on Spotify. And we really just create personalized recommendations on each one of them. So almost like a listener profile per se on each one of these playlisters. And from there, when they log into what we call our Discover page, they're basically met with a really personalized feed of up and coming new releases that they're free to curate through. So they can review the tracks, they can place them to their playlist if they want to, they can share them amongst each other. They can even use the search bar at the top, which I'm sure I can do a share screen later to dive into to show all the functionality to search up any other song on Spotify. So as an artist, you're basically getting a slot on the Discover page, depending on how many songs you have in an account. And what that gets you is essentially exposure to these curators that are looking for new music. We do basically vet and manually vet all of these curators. We only partner with the ones that we've manually vetted on the back end. So we view their growth data. We basically ask them, how did you grow your playlist? And we really like to create, not like I said, a community of these playlisters and understand what their goals are and make sure they align with our goal of promoting real organic music discovery to our community of around 10,000 artists. And then on the other side, one step further, we do have label accounts, which is very similar to the artist account, except that you would be promoting multiple artists under one label account. And both the artist and label account are getting really interesting feedback and data on their music. So we are a data provider to these artists and to these labels. And this is basically marketing data that you can use across all channels. Like, for example, you can learn how clickable your album cover is compared to other albums in your genre. You can learn how skippable the song is among playlisters. All these things that, especially for independent artists, they don't have a lot of data insights on why their music is performing the way it is. So that was another core part of what we are trying to provide to the artists and the labels. So I'm sure we can dive a bit deeper into all of that, but that is a bit of the overview of how the platform works and what we do for artists, labels, and playlisters.
Yeah. How many times a day do you have to say that?
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the thing that caught me about the platform is that it actually, like you said, provides metrics for artists that are, showing them data that they probably wouldn't have access to, like how often their song is skipped, like what is the feedback for album covers, even sort of where the placements are within playlists and how that drives the success of their like streaming catalog on Spotify. So I think the first question that I have that I put together was, I think one thing that a lot of artists don't put a lot of investment into is sort of optimizing their artist profiles, right? So meaning like they just throw up a sentence on Spotify and they put up an image. And I wanted to ask sort of what, in your opinion, because you run this platform, so you see sides from both the people who sort of gatekeep with the playlisting as well as like artist labels that are putting up images, right, on these services. What do you like, what are your tips, I guess, for optimizing that element of it, and how much does that sort of play into whether or not a person is likely to select that song for a playlist, not even considering the music?
Yeah, branding is a really, really important aspect of everything. I call it almost like the top of the funnel, right? It's the first thing that playlisters, fans, potential fans see before they even click listen on your song. So the first thing that that we look at and we recommend our artists to do is make sure their branding is cohesive among all DSPs, all platforms, right? So when a playlister or a potential fan visits your profiles, it should be the same logo, the same artist photo, so that if they find you on a playlist and look your name up on Instagram, for example, they're going to easily find you and match that, and make it easier for that person to essentially take an action you want, which is a follow or a like or whatever it is. Secondly, make sure to include a bio in anywhere that you're available to include one in. The Spotify artist page is a great place to include a bio, and obviously make sure you're crafting an interesting story and storyline that captivates the reader. And I've been seeing a lot of shorter bios on Spotify lately. I do think there's something to be said about a longer bio, because a lot of people, and I'm even as a music fan, I'll click play on a new artist and I'll go down to their bio, and I find that I spend a lot more time on the artist page actually listening to the music if the bio is a bit longer. So that was an interesting tip or data point that we looked at when researching this question. And then tying it into the playlisting aspect of the talk, I mean, artist playlists are a super essential piece of your Spotify profile and on all DSPs as well. And we found that it's most effective to actually have two different artist-owned playlists, and you can kind of pin these to your profile through Spotify for Artists. One of them should be a playlist with your whole catalog in it, and that's super helpful because, like I was saying, when someone's exploring your profile for the first time, you might get a nice, extra amount of streams on the back end if they kind of just press play on the whole playlist and it has all your songs, and it just runs straight through while they do something else, right? And then secondly is what we call maybe like a vibe or a brand playlist. Some of the artists that we work with have had some that, really take off as playlists of their own, and a brand of their own. So that's a super important piece of the equation, is like the artist playlist and also this vibe branding playlist in which you can actually, put a cool picture up on the cover, make it maybe songs that inspire you or just songs that you're listening to today as an artist, because it gives fans and potential fans a little taste of your life and your brand. And then tying it into our platform, we have really helpful tools once your promotion has been running to further optimize your branding. Our branding engagement index, we call it, is a really cool one, which basically measures the clickability of your album cover. So if you see the way that our platform is set up, it's kind of like Netflix, right? You have all the album covers like next to each other on a page. And so playlisters are instantly logging in and are kind of like attracted to, a specific type of album cover that's going to even garner the click. So what the brand engagement index is meant to do is tell you how effective your album cover is on garnering clicks. And for an independent artist, you can use this to say, hey, maybe this album, it's not even garnering clicks, right? So the playlisters aren't even listening to the song, let alone placing it, right? So it's a really interesting thing that I think a lot of music analytics analysts, I guess, don't really look at, and I think it's a really important thing to look at. I mean, a cool stat that we found is actually over 30% of the top performing songs, album covers on Playlister Club were actually set on Black backgrounds. So I guess that contrast is really interesting, and I guess it garners a lot of Playlister clicks. And I guess the simplicity of that, making the letters stand out, the song name stand out, also worked pretty well. So if you have a captivating album art and an optimized profile, you're basically giving your music the best chance to succeed on playlists and obviously beyond. So that's kind of how we look at branding.
Yeah, I think that's an element that I don't think is something that comes up a lot with artists. I think they just are sort of quick to put together, slap together the image and throw it up with their release, because they're more concerned that like the music is like the element, which it is, but there's so many other contributing factors to success on streaming, because like we're all visual people, right? So
Yeah.
seeing a captivating piece of album artwork, you're going to want to see what that is, which is a great way to discover new music.
Yeah.
So I think for the second part of this, I sort of want to get into Playlister Club, because I think that it's a very unique approach that I've seen to playlisting, as well as, it's not the what I call the detriment of the music industry, where it's like, you're paying for plays and you don't really, there's no organic growth, there's nothing, you're just going and somebody's running a bot farm somewhere. So to add to the further validity of Playlister Club, I think the first question I had was, what is the best way for an artist, or even alternatively a label or playlister, to come to Playlister Club and either discover new music, if you're even a label, because I'm sure that there's some A&R visibility there for labels if they wanted to sign new artists, but also, what is the best way for artists to sort of get their music in front of the right folks, I guess would be the phrase that I would use.
Yeah. I think the best place to start would be actually on the Artisan label promotion side, because that's really what we do really well, in the sense that it's really unique, like I was explaining earlier. We basically work with the page. Let me see can I share my screen actually to show you guys the platform?
I believe you hold the power.
Great. Let's see. Can everyone see my screen here?
I didn't realize how much it almost looks like Spotify on there.
Yeah, well, so this is the artist dashboard. And so, this is kind of where you can come to essentially do all the things that you want to do on the platform. You can use this start page. It takes 2 seconds to set up. You basically, upon logging in, connect your artist profile. You don't have to upload any MP3s. You don't have to upload any JPEGs. It's connected directly to Spotify. So we wanted to make that a really interesting point when creating the platform, is that a lot of labels and artists on release day are usually scrambling to do 30 things down their to-do list of boxes they have to check, and we wanted to make it as easy as possible to set up a promotion here. So once you log in, like I was saying, you link your account and you're going to be met with your whole discography as the artist. Anything you've released is going to be here. We have some really interesting tools before you even run your promotion, one of them being the playlist stability index. And the way that this index works is we basically are reading all the metrics of a song that a playlister is placing on this, our playlister community is placing on this day. So we read different metrics, a giant list like BPM, release date, danceability, and list goes on and on. Really, any metric that we can get on the song that is not based off of performance. So it's not looking at streams, it's not looking at your followers, it's looking at everything else we can possibly look at other than performance, because obviously a new song, everyone's starting at zero. And so what we're doing is comparing the metrics that your song has to the average metrics that the platform average is being added to. And we basically compare the two and give you a score from 0 to 100. And it's really meant to be a gauge of essentially, how compatible your song is with the playlister community we have on board today. So this score is changing on a daily basis. It's a really great way to kind of look at, what song should I be running if you have a larger discography, right? So as you can see here, just clicking through this artist discography, some of them are on the lower side, some of them are on the higher side. And that's a really cool tool. You can actually run any number of songs that you want completely for free. If you go to playlister.club/playlistability, you don't even have to be signed up to the platform. You can use this free tool at your disposal. You just plug in Spotify song link and email. So to answer part one of your question, how to best use the platform, definitely be looking at playlistability before you run the promotion as a way to gauge that potential performance. And once you've landed on a song that you want to run, obviously most people are going to be running their new release, but we do have 3 song accounts on the artist side, so you can run 2 back catalog releases. And that's something really important that I wanted to touch upon, is the fact that when people think of promotion, and when people think especially of playlist promotion, the way that the industry has worked is that it's been essentially based off of a single song, right? So you have your new release, you're going to go out and try to get that song on new playlists. With Playlister Club, we set it up in a way that allows you to run multiple releases. The pricing is $40 per month per song. You're never going to pay more or less than that. It's going to be $40 per month to run a song for a month. That's not depending on any activity you get on the song, right? So there's no guarantees, but it's whether you get 100 playlist ads or 0, it's going to be $40 a month per song. That's the cost to use the platform. So we made it affordable in the sense that you can actually run a good number of songs. And we actually find that, on average, people are running 5 songs on the platform through the system. And obviously you're not going to have 5 new releases every month, but you're running back catalog and you're gaining insights on your catalog. So if I move over to the activity page, here you can see essentially different views on the performance of the song. So once you activate your promotion and click start promoting, it's going to be shot into the discover page. And I'll move over to the playlister side in a second. But as playlisters interact with it, you are essentially gaining a lot of really, really valuable insights. Like I was saying, the branding engagement index. Here you can see that this artist is actually performing 97% below the platform average. So his album cover is not even garnering clicks compared to the average on the platform. So that's something that this artist can go back and say for future releases. Maybe we should actually put something with maybe more text or a different photo of me. So different kind of insights that you can work on like that. The song engagement index is the skip rate of the song essentially. So after a playlister clicks listen, are they staying and interacting with the song further with a review or replacement, or are they moving on to the next song? We have really cool stuff like production, performance, and demand, which are based off of playlister reviews. So this can kind of tell you as an artist, hey, I'm good on the performance front. Commercial demand, it seems like playlisters think that this song is commercially demanding, but the production, maybe I should go work with a different producer because I'm actually, only 57% of people think it's good, right? So there's the classic kind of activity details where you're going to be seeing what playlist you actually made it onto as an artist. So here you can actually see really interesting things like the number of, the placement position you made it onto, how many days you were placed in the playlist for. You can also see your in-depth reviews, which give you a lot of information on, the different aspects of the song, the melodies, the vocals, lyrics. These were the sliders that they used to create that those 3 metrics at the front, and all the different actual interactions you can dive into on the artist side. If you go to the geo attractiveness, this is a really cool tool at your disposal, and actually somewhere I see a lot of synergy for people that use Featurefm, because you're actually getting we're basically reading all the viral playlists on Spotify in different countries, and we're essentially comparing your song to what's going viral in different countries. essentially telling you where a song is most attractive in the world. And we've actually found that running Facebook ads and Instagram swipe up story ads in some of these countries are actually garnering much better and more reasonable results for the artists that in their home country aren't maybe getting the best results. So this is definitely some sort of kind of geo targeting feature that you can use, especially if you're running your campaigns through Featurefm. There's a bunch of other stuff here that you can use to your advantage. Playlister attractiveness is a really cool one as well, that actually tells you which playlisters you are most attractive to, again, based off of a few different metrics that we look at in our backend. And it's really cool because it kind of tells you, hey, if you're going to be reaching out to some of these playlisters on the side, you can actually use this tool to tell you not only which ones am I most compatible with, but what time of the day are they actually logged in and active. You can even see their prior interactions to see what songs they've been kind of engaging with on our platform and beyond. So that's a really interesting tool at your disposal when you are a member of the platform. And you do get the full, Playlister Club kind of community at your disposal as well through the Playlisters page. So you can see, most active playlisters this week. You could see playlisters who are in our A&R program who we've manually vetted. You can see, active people in the last 24 hours. So you get a really deep layer of data on the playlisting community that we make basically, we make available to our artist and label community. So that is the artist dashboard. There's a few other things that we can dive into there, but really using most of these tools at your disposal is the best way to use the platform, because I would say the promotion is only one aspect, and that's really what everyone is after, right? Is like getting on playlists, getting results, but we're taking it a step further and actually showing you why you are getting on playlists, why you aren't, and what you should improve as an artist. And really treating playlisting as one essential, but one piece of your marketing strategy instead of, the whole marketing strategy. So it's really meant to plug into, an overarching kind of holistic marketing strategy there. I can show you now the playlister side, which is going to, I think, give some light to kind of how it works on their end. So when I am a playlister, I essentially log in, and every playlister gets their own discover page. And this is kind of like the heart and soul of the platform. This is where you can kind of see, what songs are coming through. And as a playlister, I'm able to interact with any of these songs. So we have a bunch of different really cool algorithmically based carousels, like the new tracks, for example, which are obviously new releases that they can sort by genres, and actually get different artists recommended to them based off of their data. There's the tracks from labels where they can see, hey, these tracks are being pushed by labels, some underperforming tracks on the platform, even trending artists. So you can see the artists that have actually been getting a ton of interactions by other playlisters, which might tip you off and say, I should probably listen to these songs that are trending week on week. And then the We Think You May Like, which is an algorithmic based carousel based off of what you've been listening to, the playlist stability. So there's a ton of things, and this is ever changing, right? And the more you interact with music and the more they interact with music, the better it gets. So this is kind of what, as an artist or label, you are essentially paying to be a part of, is this discovery ecosystem that allows allows playlisters to really interact with them in an interesting way. At the top, you'll see the banner. So these are like premium ad spaces that we sell 10 per week of to artists that are interested. These are a really cool way to kind of engage with the community deeper. I always say that it's not a necessary thing to have a great promotion, but it definitely helps speed up the rate. Obviously, you're at the top of the discover page. This is a part that all other playlisters kind of see. There's also the community ads, which are part of this community sidebar, where it's almost like a Facebook style feed of what's going on in the platform. You can see some reviews, you can see some songs being placed, you see who's signing up. So it's a really cool way to just explore some of the activity that's going on the platform. But also you're going to be able to run a community ad through the system. So that's a really cool way to kind of engage with the community in a deeper way. So you can kind of see a little bit about the playlister side. There's a lot of other niche tools, right, that I can dive into a bit deeper if anyone has questions about it. But that's kind of the two sides of the platform. And I would say, like, it's really important to remember how the system works if you are an artist that's running through the system, because we're not a submission platform. We're not a marketing agency that's going to get you on playlists directly. Like, you're really essentially getting into this ecosystem, and you're hopefully getting picked up organically, right? So it takes time for our playlisters to discover your platform. And this is something that I always kind of say in terms of best practices. It's leaving a song up for at least a month on the system, because you're going to be essentially, a playlister might see your song, a bunch of times. We've actually found 70% of playlisters listen to a song at least 3 times before interacting with it. So it's important to stay patient. You're not going to upload a song and the next day it's going to be on 30 playlists, but over the month, a certain playlister might check you out and listen to the song and interact with it, maybe leave a review, and then find you again and end up placing that into one of their playlists. And that's an important kind of connection that you're making there, from a playlisting perspective, because any playlists you do end up on are due to the merits of your own music, right? So you're getting much higher quality placements through the system because someone is actually on the other end curating it. So they're not going to throw you on a random playlist that doesn't work. They have the ability to actually curate great playlists, which obviously helps the artist because they're going to get better placements. It helps the playlister because they don't have to throw random songs on their playlist. And at the end of the day, it also helps the listener because they're finding better music. If they're going to click on an indie pop playlist, they're going to find good indie pop instead of just random music. And so it helps the ecosystem as a whole. This kind of configuration we've done on the discovery page, but it does take time, right? So I would say best practices, leave it up for 1 month and just kind of see how it does. The optimal time is really 3 months, and that's why we do have 1 month and 3 month packages on the artist and label side.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Could you scroll up for 1 second? Because I do want to see the section right there where it says playlist or club recommends. Is that something that's you guys are specifically curating?
Yeah, great question. That is the only carousel in here that is editorial. So our editorial team is kind of going through, listening to songs on a weekly basis and highlighting any songs that we may think are, cool and interesting. So that is the only one that's an editorial carousel on the Discover page.
Okay, cool. I think for sort of example's sake, if we could see maybe a successful artist example of somebody that's run a campaign, or even if you just have like case study or something like that, so we could show folks what it looks like, right? Like from like start to finish, I guess, we've walked through how to set it up. I sort of want to see, I know that you were going through some of the like playlist ability. I've never even heard that as a word before, which is awesome.
I think we made it up. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think if we could sort of show, an artist like the options, or I mean, we walked through some of them like on a very like basic layer, but just sort of what that looks like for them when they run a campaign, so they know what they have like access to and things like that.
Definitely. Yeah. So I'll start with a case study that I love showing. Alex Ivo, When You Go Away, he's a DJ that has been working with us for some time. And I really like showing this campaign because he's a perfect example of this long tail strategy, right? That he basically put the song up and left it up for over 3 months and didn't really lift a finger. And throughout the campaign, he got 125 playlist ads, equating to around 2.3 million followers on his song. And it's really great to see because it's someone that kind of just stayed patient. And over time, you can see how it grew. Over the first month, it was already a song that performed really well. It had a super high playlist ability, and he garnered 96 playlist ads throughout the month. But over time, you can kind of see how these ads kind of kept rolling in, and actually was able to garner a whole other million followers for the rest of the remainder of the time of the campaign, which is an interesting way to see it. Obviously, when you upload a song and it's new into the system, you're going to have what we call like the trending or the viral effect, which is essentially if playlisters like it, and they start interacting with it, there's a few different feedback loops, as you saw on the Discover page, in which they can discover more of them, the better songs, right? So there's like the trending tracks carousel, there's the community carousel, or sorry, community sidebar, in which, you know, playlisters can see what other playlisters are interacting with. And so when you have a song like this that in a month garnered a large amount of playlist ads, it's mostly due to those trending or viral feedback loops on the platform. So you know, if one large playlister picks it up, that's going to shoot it into the community dashboard of other playlisters. They're going to be like, oh, you know, Suave picked it up. Let me give it a listen and see what, you know, Suave is adding to their playlist, and overall interacting with all of these songs, right? So that virality is a really interesting thing to look at, and it's really up to, honestly, the how good the song is, I would say. If the song is a great song, and it starts getting onto a lot of playlists, it's really going to pick up steam and keep going. If the song is not so great, sometimes it kind of caps out and playlisters kind of move on to the next thing. But it's important to make sure that your song is obviously good, but it's obviously being promoted for the right amount of time, because you're not going to get necessarily that spike every day. You want to leave it up so it gets chances to get multiple different spikes, quote unquote. But I can move back to, if I can show you, kind of walking you through a campaign. Brett Castro's new release, I think, is a great one because it's still active. This song was released, let's see, on the 5th of October. So, you know, less than 2 weeks ago, or around 2 weeks, or sorry, 3 weeks ago. So you can kind of see the interactions that they got. So we actually activated this song the day it released. I will say that this song did have a banner ad running on it the first week of the campaign. So we did a banner ad for this song. Essentially, right now it sits at 54 placements, 14 reviews, 118 listens, and also 99K views. Views are almost like impressions, but they're not you know, direct impressions like you may find on Google or Facebook. These are high value impressions from playlisters and other labels that are viewing your song, right? So it's not going to be, you know, just random people or music consumers. It's you know, real industry people. So that's how many times they saw it in their feed, and that trickled into 118 listens. And you know, this artist had a really nice listen to placement ratio, in which all those 118 listens actually turned into 54 placements onto playlists. If we go into the engagement side of the campaign, you can see there's around they've reached so far in 3 weeks around 1 million combined followers on their playlist. And that's even with lower engagement metrics. Like if this had been, you know, the same song, maybe with a different album cover, this might have been double. You know, you never really know. And that's kind of what we were talking about at the beginning of this you know, talk, is that it depends on the branding as well. But you can see that the growth kind of hit an initial peak, and it kind of stagnated a bit, and it seems like it's now hitting another peak, like I was talking about, of you know, the sparks that these songs get into those trending tabs. And I would say it's the frequency there. It depends on the song, but anywhere between, you know, every week to every 2 weeks, you might get the opportunity, right, to get picked up by a playlister to then make it into those other carousels. But it really just depends on the song. Like sometimes we see songs that come in and the next day they're on, you know, 10 playlists, and sometimes it takes, on the third week, it's like, you know, only on 2 playlists, and then it shoots up on the third week and really takes off. You know, that's part of the thing that you know, our platform has, and it's just the nature of organic discovery, and we can't really control that very much. It's you know, part of why the platform is set up the way it is. So that's a really interesting campaign for this artist. You know, we're seeing a lot of really interesting back-end data on this artist. You know, actually even translation into our Instagram followers. I mean, this is an artist that right now the only marketing they're running on Spotify is Playlister Club, and we're already seeing a nice uptick in Instagram followers, around 5% uptick in their followers since they released this song. And this is basically the only paid marketing we're doing on that song. So it's a really great case study to look at in the first 3 weeks. I think it's like somewhere around 10,000 streams. But again, we don't look at the streaming data We're not a stream-centric company. We're really just about exposing your music to the curators and letting what happens happens.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes your guys' approach so unique and valuable. A is the data, but also that, having, and I always say this in anything that we do that's playlist related, buying streams does not equal fans. So having a platform where you can go and have verified no bot playlisters that will actually listen to your music and you can see who's interacting with it, and then also get organic music discovery in a way that's curated for music, or your music I should say, it really sort of leaves the door open for any genre of music to be successful, which is fantastic. I think
Exactly.
I think we're at the time now where we can get into some of the questions from users if you're open to it, Danny.
Yeah, that would be great. Let's dive into it.
Let's start with the Q&A section first because I think that's the best area. 1 second. Someone just said rock is not as popular a genre as it once was. Oh, let's start with that one because I love refuting this question. Rock is not as popular a genre as it once was, but that is the genre I work in. Does your service have enough users to make it useful for me?
Yeah, I think, we've seen a lot of rock campaigns, and after the call, feel free to, and also anyone just in general, I'm going to drop my email in the chat and I can send over, answers to any other questions or anything like that. But in terms of rock, we definitely have really great performance. Obviously rock is an overarching kind of a term. It depends, obviously indie rock has a high playlist stability in our service. We see a lot of indie rock songs do really well. We like last week, for example, we do have the playlist pulse chart, which I wasn't able to touch upon in the walkthrough, but it is a top 10 weekly song chart, essentially, that we basically build based off of, the songs that are most active within our platform each week or most interacted with. So every time a playlister reviews a song, it's a certain pointage. Every time they take off a song, or every time they negatively review a song, it takes off a point. Every time they add a song to a small playlist, it adds a certain amount of points. And at the end of each week, we basically tally up all the songs in the system and shoot out a top 10 song chart of all the songs in the system. So last week, for example, the reason I bring it up with rock is because we had our first metal band, kind of, you could call it kind of metal leaning band, reach #1, which is really cool. And so, that was a top trending song on the platform last week. So there's definitely opportunities for, rock centric music. I would say that, it's not the opportunities aren't as big as, let's say, like a chill EDM song on the platform, but that's the beauty of the platform, is that you're going to upload things, and some of these creators, right, might have their frontline playlists, right, that have hundreds of thousands of followers, but these are professional music curators, so they do have smaller, metal playlists, or smaller, whatever it is, lo-fi, or orchestral music, like more fringe niche genres that you're going to be able to tap into, that using other services you might not be, because these playlisters are coming in to find new music. And obviously maybe a chill EDM curator is also a fan of metal on the side, right? And that's the beauty of the platform, is that you're really just exposing your music to real people. So they're thinking about it, listening to it, and saying, hey, this doesn't fit on my 100,000 EDM playlist, but maybe it fits on my 2,000 follower, metal playlist. So there's definitely opportunities for that. I would definitely lean on the playlist stability feature a bit there before running it. You can always run that song through the playlist stability feature, and just understand, that gauge of how comparative is it to the songs that are being added on the platform.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And also, like, let's get out of the mindset that like frontline releases or just new songs are like the only thing that you can market on Spotify. As Danny mentioned, having a long tail effect with especially rock, which is largely catalog driven for a lot of even artists that are of a larger stature. Having your catalog is a huge asset. So it's not like a throwaway thing when you're going into a streaming, opportunity like the one that you can find on Playlist or Club. You can really utilize any genre of music and also your catalog going into it. I'm trying to get people out of the mindset that there's like a 1 week timeline with streaming. So
Oh yeah.
as much as we can hammer that, I love that.
Yeah, it's really a long tail strategy is the best one. And even with older releases, I say like keep running them because that's your biggest asset as an artist is your catalog, right? And making sure that you're utilizing it to the best advantage and actually activating it on a greater basis and making sure people are finding it and diving into your catalog is the most important thing because that's how you create real fans, right? Getting on one playlist and getting a bunch of people to listen to one song is great, but it's like, how do you get them to dive into your catalog, follow you on other platforms, buy a hoodie, buy a concert ticket? That's really what we're trying to align with, and what we're trying to be kind of like the entry point of the funnel for artists and for labels is to essentially get to that end result, not just streams.
Exactly. The whole funnel, I would say, of Spotify is a music discovery is generally your entry point, whether it's Spotify editorial or using a tool like Playlister Club, and then having the person that's listening save the song to your library. That is ultimately the goal with any playlist strategy, or at least it should be if you're not doing it from that perspective. Let's dive into another question. It is about the playlist. I'm gonna have a mouthful. Playlist ability tool. Could you explain the three grading criteria: maturity, sensation, and qualities?
Yeah. So maturity is essentially the it's looking at different metrics like how long the song has been out for compared to how long the average song on our platform being out for is. The sensation is actually different actual sonic qualities of the song. So how does the song feel? So there you're looking at things like danceability, right? And the qualities are more kind of in depth like music metrics like a BPM or something like that. So the actual qualities of the song as a whole. So we kind of took that three-prong approach in saying like, hey, how long has this song been out for? Our playlisters adding new music, old music, sensation. It's like what's the average feel of the song? Because that we're basically like breaking away from genres and really just saying like, a lo-fi song and a chill EDM song are different genres, but they might have similar sensations, right? And so for playlisting, that's a really important thing because you're essentially building. A lot of people build mood playlists, right? Not genre playlists. So sensation can include different genres within a playlist as long as they have similar, if they feel similar, right? And they flow into each other. Then obviously qualities are really important because that's more of the like traditional music like BPM and like you want the when building a playlist you don't want the BPM to fly all over the place, right? You don't want a super fast song and then a super slow song. You kind of want them to flow into each other as well. So those are the three qualities we look at with playlist stability. But obviously within each of those categories, there's a ton of other things that we look at, both a mix of public data and proprietary data to build that. And I will say that we're always looking to improve that tool, and it's a work in progress, I will say. So it's not going to be a lot of people ask me too, it's like, oh, I scored a 41 on the playlist stability and it doesn't really, it's like, should I even run it on the platform? I will say that's mostly just for you to understand how compatible you are, but it is just a metric to kind of predict, right? It's never going to actually if you have a 30 playlist stability and 100 playlist stability, you still could jump on, and they're just metrics at the end of the day, right? You want to run the song to understand how the song will perform, but it's just a way to kind of mitigate, artists saying like, hey, but I think my song is great. Like, well, the data here shows that actually, maybe the song's BPM is not what our playlisters are looking for and stuff like that. So it's just a better way to kind of contextualize everything.
I like that. It's also honest. If your song sucks, it'll tell you.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Let's see. Or I think most artists just sort of get in their head about how great a song is, right? And they have expectations. So I think having that like real life filter sort of helps with where they could market it better, to your point about sensation, because a lot of playlists are driven by like how do the songs go in with one another so that it's continuously feels the same thing. So you're not going from a chill EDM song to a hard metal song.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's super important because the more and more we're learning about the space is like the playlists that especially today are very popular are different to before. Like Used to be like it used to be acoustic folk, 2018 was like the thing, and you listen to a bunch of acoustic folk, but now it's stuff like coffee house chill, right? Where it's like it's not genre specific. It's can really include like the new Adele song, and it can include, a Mumford and Sons song. Like there's a bunch of stuff that can fit within a coffee house chill playlist. It doesn't have to just be acoustic folk, right? So it's moving away from these genre constraints and finding ways to match music that are based off of different things.
That's great. I think that's an awesome way to look at it. Our next question is from Nick Roberts. There's a few of them, but I think they all tie together. What's the average size of playlists? And then the follow-up to that is there a guarantee that there are no bot playlists? And then the third one to that is, if a song has been out for a few weeks or longer, has the moment passed?
Yeah, those are all great questions. The average size of playlists, I can get that number after the call. I'm going to write that one down. I don't have it on hand, but it spans within our A&R program. They need to have at least 1,000 followers, and the biggest playlist I think has over 300K. So there's obviously a breakdown of everywhere in between that. But I can shoot that over if you email me after the call. Is there a guarantee that there are no bot playlists? In the A&R program for artists playlists that we've accepted into the A&R program, it basically means that me and my team have vetted these playlists. We ask them to do a bunch of stuff when they're coming in. So not only do they have to accept our terms and our pledge, which is to keep it organic upon entry, but they also have to prove how they've grown the playlist up to this point through screenshots. So we ask them, like, how did you grow your playlist? If you grew them through Facebook ads, please show us the screenshots of Facebook ads. And we really do a deep dive on each one of these. To give you an example or a number, we've basically rejected over 50% of the curators that apply. So I would say we are the most stringent, application process to be a part of our platform. And we also do regular security checks on the playlisters that are already within our platform. So every week, our team is actually going through, manually combing through each one, making sure that the data all looks good. That's part of what you're getting with us. In terms of a guarantee, we don't have like a guarantee in sense of like money back or anything like that. But I will say that that's the main thing that our team does, is basically vet these curators and continually vet them, and make sure that our community stays completely organic. And the final question, if the song has been out for a few weeks or longer, has the moment passed? No, definitely not. Like I said, the optimal time for promotion on the platform is around 3 months. So like I showed that case study of the Alex Iva EDM song, that song obviously garnered a nice chunk of placement, half of the placements in the first month. But if they had just switched that song out, it would have stayed at 96 playlist ads. It ended up with over 200, over almost 200, right? So it basically doubled over the last 2 months. Definitely leave the song up for as long as you can. I would say, like, after 3 months, we're still reading the data a bit. After 3 months, you can try and switch it out a bit, but I would say 1 to 3 months is the optimal time, no less than 1 month. And if the song has been out for longer than 3 months, I don't think that is the case. I mean, if you remember I don't think that affects the promotion that much, because if you remember how we were displaying the music, all they really see is the album cover and the song title, and obviously listen to the song. So they're not unless they're digging into the actual profile of the song on Spotify, which we do link out to Spotify directly. They're basically just listening to the song, looking at the branding, maybe learning a bit about the artist. So it's really down to the song, right? So you can upload a song that's 10 years old, and if it's still sounds current or vibes with a certain curator, it's gonna hopefully get on playlists. So a lot of our label users actually get maybe a 25 song account, right, and run 5 songs to 5 new frontline releases and 20 back catalog releases, and just kind of leave those running and let the back catalog kind of flourish into new playlists all the time. So that's a really cool, unique thing that we do. So to answer your question in a very long way, no, it's not too late after 2 or 3 weeks.
Great. The next question we have is from Slater Sklut. Great name. What factors are used to determine a song's playlist ability using Playlist Pulse?
So playlist pulse does not take too much from the playlist ability. I think I'm reading that correctly. The question is essentially how used to determine a song's playlist ability using playlist pulse. So they're not the same, right? So playlist pulse is essentially the top 10 song chart. So that is looking at different things completely than the playlist ability. Playlist ability is looking at the song qualities, like I was explaining, whereas playlist pulse is actually the performance on our platform. So they're two completely different things. There might be a correlation between the playlist ability and playlist pulse, right? Because obviously it's like saying, this song scored high and then it made it onto playlist pulse. We honestly haven't run that analysis on our end, but it's actually giving me a few ideas. So I'll definitely write that one down as well.
Great. The next question is from Julian. Julian, I can't pronounce your last name because I'm not French, but do songs in French, cool alternative, not to chants in French, Francais, and other languages also have a chance?
Yeah, so definitely, we have a lot of global users on the platform and global playlists. There's big pockets of playlists in France, in Italy, Argentina for Spanish speakers, Mexico. So there's definitely opportunities for non-English speaking. I would say that sometimes these actually find results in an even quicker way sometimes, because the playlisters that are French are a smaller subset, right? And so they're looking out for those French songs. So there's definitely opportunities for all those. Again, relying on playlist ability and just checking it out before you run it. But I definitely would give those a shot.
Okay, the next question is from Ashley Daly. Is there any reason this service will keep me from Spotify editorial placements?
No. So, to my knowledge, no. If anything, it might help because you're getting, onto real playlists. You're hopefully driving up your save rate. Honestly, I'm not super well versed in exactly, what editors look at. I'm imagining it's a whole slew of things, right? That they're looking at in terms of what makes it onto editorial playlists. But if anything, I would say that this would help because you're getting on real playlists, playlists that are the right fit, which hopefully increases your save rate, which gets your kind of algorithmic playlists like release radar, the radio moving a bit. And so hopefully it actually helps. I don't have any data to necessarily say, X amount of songs that have run through the system make it onto editorial. And obviously there's no kind of correlation there. But to our knowledge, no, there's no reason why it should hurt in any way.
All right, great. Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably hard to answer because that would be completely based on somebody's like Spotify for artists where they would show that they got editorial. Okay,
Yeah.
the next question, I think this is gonna be electronic, but what genre is the most popular on this platform?
Yeah, I would say the ones that trend the most on Playlist Pulse end up being like EDM pop leaning ones, just because it seems like some of the bigger playlists and even the ones that are smaller, but there's a lot of them, are that kind of EDM sound. And the EDM like electronic pop sound just works on a lot of like workout playlists, on a lot of pop playlists. So there's a lot of opportunity for that music, but that's not to discredit any other genres. Like there's definitely opportunities for a whole bunch of them, like we've kind of discussed in the past. So but EDM pop leaning stuff is definitely the most popular.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's always the answer. It's always electronic, pop, hip hop. The next question is kind of odd, but I just want to cover it because I think that it's important. How do you make money exactly from this? I think that they are probably wondering this from like an artist perspective. So if you want to cover how
Mm,
advertising doesn't necessarily generate revenue for you, that would be great.
yeah. Yeah, so ROI is something that's really hard just in the music space in general now, in terms of marketing, like just because it's first of all, it's really hard to measure in terms of streams because you're getting that money, 3 months later or even more. But also, like, you never know if a fan comes out to your show and buys a ticket. It's hard to trace back to whether they found you on the playlist that you got on from Playlister Club or the Facebook ad you're running with Featurefm, right? So it would be interesting to see if anyone kind of solves that problem. But we don't focus on necessarily ROI. I will say that we actually try to bring the cost down as much as possible to make it as affordable for an artist to run a campaign through us. We feel really great about the $40, $40 a month song per song price. And I'm sure a lot of artists do and labels do get ROI on their music, but we just have there's so many variables in being put into that it's not something we measure or even look at or make promises or guarantees on either. So it's just kind of like up left to you and your camp to kind of figure that out. But I will say that we just kind of try to make it as affordable as possible, especially for independent artists.
Yeah, I think that's a really important metric to include in there. I'm just dropping off the 20% off your campaign when you go to Playlist or Club. Give me 1 second. I got to type it out. So that means you all got to listen to me typing. There you go. So if you guys head to that link, you'll get 20% off your first campaign when you sign up with Playlist or Club. And Danny included his email in here. Danny, do you maybe want to post it again just in case it gets lost in the chat conversation?
Yeah, here it is again. Feel free to, oh, whoops, sorry, I sent it to the wrong thing there.
Send it.
Feel free, yeah, to reach out with any questions. We did kind of put together this awesome coupon. It's the first time we ever do a coupon for anyone. So feel free to definitely take advantage of that. It's 20% off your first membership, whether it's an artist account or a label account, just 20% off straight. So would love to see people on board. And like I said, reach out with any questions. And once you do try it out, any feedback as well. We're always looking to improve the platform and make things that help artists and help independent labels succeed in the crazy new digital marketing and music streaming world. So if you can send over any questions or feedback, super helpful on our end.
Yeah, and I'm gonna edit this out eventually, but we're gonna be putting this video up on our community that we have for all of our users. So we'll include that referral code in there as well, so people can get the 20% off.
Great,
right.
Awesome.
I think we don't have any other questions, so thank you, Danny, for participating in this today. This was one of my favorite about this topic, so appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for the time, everyone, and Corey and Featurefm for the platform, and excited to keep working together and to keep helping artists together.
All right, perfect. All right, we'll see you guys soon. Bye.
All right, bye. Thank you.